Now let's head to the east of the continent, where the police in Uganda have continued their crackdown on protesters, arresting at least 73 young people, including 3 on Wednesday, who were attempting to hold a press conference. Now, the recent protests were partially inspired by youth-led demonstrations in neighboring Kenya, which saw participation from young Ugandans who had mobilized online. The protesters are demanding the resignation of Speaker of Parliament Anita Among, who was named in a corruption expose published on social media in February. They are also calling for the reduction of the high salaries of Ugandan parliamentarians who are living the highest paid, or who are among the highest paid in the country, or in the world, I beg your pardon. Joining us on the news is Kato Tumusiime, a human rights lawyer and advocate in Kampala, Uganda. Hello, Kato. Thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Thank you so much for hosting me once again, and I am glad to be part of this conversation today.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, as one of the lawyers representing the arrested protesters, can you describe the scale and nature of the charges that they are facing?
So far, to begin with, we have about 90 people, young people and women that have been arrested since the protest started on the 23rd of July 2024. The unfortunate bit is that the number that is disclosed by the Uganda police and other security agencies only is limited to 70 people being arrested and charged in courts of law. The charges against all these people that are enjoying their freedoms and rights under the Constitution and the right to demonstrate peacefully is a charge of common nuisance and public nuisance. Those are the charges that are being preferred against all these people that are demonstrating and showing their rights in the fight against corruption in this country, Uganda. Basically, in all the courts I have attended, the courts held and convened at night, all the charges preferred against these people and that they have denied are charges of common nuisance.
Now, we also know that, there were warnings before the protest from the authorities, and I'm talking about the president himself and the police as well. Now, can you tell us, how have the authorities justified the arrests made?
Of course, the people received the threats from the police, including the president, and threatening them not to enjoy their fundamental rights as provided for under the Constitution. But people are saying enough is enough. And the message the people and the young people are saying out to the government and the police is that the history shows it clear, but that by the time the NRA or the NRM regime, including the President Museveni, started the war Bush, they were in the youthful years of their time. And this is our youthful years as well. The message they are saying is that the 1986 revolution as it started, it is now our time to also enjoy our 1986. The threats and the arrests are trying to send a message to the rest of the people not to join their colleagues in the fight against corruption. And the president has clearly said on a number of times that he's the biggest champion of starting a fight against corruption, and we are here to support him. To recall about, I think in 2018, President Museveni and all these other people that are in government, most of them that have been incriminated in the corruption charges, started a march. It was a peaceful march from the city square to Kororo airstrip here in Kampala, sending a message and the fight against corruption.
Okay, speaking of marches and human rights abuse, are there concerns in any way about the erosion of the civil liberties and human rights in Uganda, and how do citizens actually perceive their ability to exercise these rights? Please, can you speak to us in 30 minutes just before we wrap up? 30
Thank you
seconds,
so much.
I beg your pardon.
All the rights that are given and guaranteed by the Constitution of Uganda have been violated during this kind of protest and during the arrest. If you see the nature of arrest and how the activists and the demonstrators are being handled, it is unconstitutional and unfair. It is just inhuman and mistreatment from the police and the army, including that even when these people are arrested and we know their whereabouts, the lawyers ourselves are not allowed to access and talk to these accused people as our clients so that we can be able to see how best we can help in fighting for their rights, even in courts of law. Secondly, that the people involved in trying to come, what they say they are trying to come and suppress the demonstrations, is that we are facing a challenge that most military men from the army, the UPDF here in Uganda, are masquerading as the policemen. And those are the best and the most people conducting themselves and violating these rights.
All right, Kato. I'm so sorry to cut you off, but we'd actually have to wrap up here. Time is not on our side. But thank you so much for speaking to us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.